try and get all the presentation stuff. Katie works for IBM. I believe you're a team leader there, or?
Yeah, I lead the Android development team.
So leads up a fairly large team that have developed, amongst many other interesting things, some apps for live sporting events, and pretty big sporting events too. I believe, like the Australian Open and so on.
Yep, I'll talk about that.
Yep, and so she's going to be speaking to us tonight about the issues involved with building and supporting these sort of events. It's always really interesting to hear about people's cases and examples for what it's like to build at scale for Android, because I know a lot of people have got questions about, do we need to be concerned about this? What do we do about the large number of different devices? How do we support all these people? What's it like to build at such a large size? So it's really good, and I'm really excited to have like a case talk about all that sort of stuff tonight. So thank you, Katie.
Hope this is going to work. Hi everybody, as Luke mentioned, I'm Katie. I work at IBM iX here in Melbourne. The team I work with is the IBM Events team, and we build and support the apps for major sporting events, major music events. We also do websites and hosting. So today I just want to talk to you about a bit of my event life and some tips for supporting apps when you're on the ground in live events, and things to watch out for, and things to try. So yeah, I pretty much live my life going from event to event. I don't go to all of them, but I go to a lot of them. It's fairly high pressure, but super fun. So, as I said, high pressure. These events come with a lot of stress, so I thought I'd give you guys some tips on how to avoid some of this stress. Some of these things might be well known to a lot of you who are well experienced in the field, but some of you who are new to it might not have heard of these things before. So always the first thing when starting out with a new app is choosing your supported devices and operating systems. Come on, there we go. So as usual, choose with care, but be ready to back up your choice. Look at the market that your app is going to be in, and let that decide on your choice, not what your client has, what devices they have. Look at the different geographies. For example, the supported apps, the supported devices we have for the US Open are very different to the ones we have for the Australian Open. Pick your battles, you can't cover everything. My apps usually go out to an install base of over 1 million users. I can't cover every single device and every single operating system configuration that users have. I try. My project managers constantly say, why are we getting crashes on this small subset of devices? But I can't cover everything. So you need to pick those battles and use prioritization, real life events to choose what battles to pick. You need to evaluate each issue that comes up and get all of the information before escalating. One of the biggest things when working in a high pressure situation is that clients or your project manager will come to you and say, yeah, this crash is happening, and instantly ask you for a diagnosis. It's better to take a step back, take a breath, try and look at all the different information you have available to you, try to reproduce the issue, all those sorts of things, before trying to fix it or diagnose the problem. These things seem trivial, but when you're stressed and under the pump, you forget these things easily. And along with this is know your team hierarchy beforehand and who will be giving these instructions. You don't want to be getting crashes and problems from 3 or 4 different people, your test team, your project manager, your client. Know who you should be listening to, and it's not necessarily who's shouting the loudest. And keep an eye on your reviews, but don't get caught up in them. Every single event that I have and every single app I have, they're always saying, there's always at least one review that says, oh, this app is terrible. You need to get the guys who developed whatever the event I last developed to do the app. So if it's Wimbledon, they're saying, this app is terrible, go get the guys who did Australian Open to do the app. If it's Australian Open, they're saying, get the guys from US Open. The US Open, they're saying, get the guys from Wimbledon. Same guy. So reviews can help you diagnose issues, get a bit of an idea of what your users are experiencing. but don't get too distressed about them. There's a lot of people that just love to complain. Don't get too caught up in it. The other thing is, and this is, I think, for anybody who's working in a big team, is know when to sit down and shut up. In high-pressure situations when people are coming at you from all different angles, the last thing on people's mind is the Android app. Everyone cares about the websites, about the hosting. Usually they care about iOS beforehand. It happens every single time. Yeah, sit down, shut up, listen to what's going on, do what you can, but at the end of the day, just try and do your job, not get too stressed. So, supporting on site, or at least trying to be on site. You've got to do cross-device and cross-app testing. So obviously, cross-device, make sure multiple devices are showing the same thing, or at least showing what you expect. But also, if your app exists on iOS and Android, compare those two. It might not be exactly the same. That is probably part of your design, at least it should be. But maybe you will see the same problem on both apps. Then maybe there's a problem with your data feed and not with your app. If your app involves the physical, then get physical. If you're using beacons, if you're using location services, get out into the actual place where your app is going to be used. Try, if possible, use it under load. So many of these issues we only find out in the first few days of the event because we've never tried it under load. We've never tried it outside of a nice, safe lab environment. Have a team plan to report on the daily startup and daily finish, checking data feeds, doing the cross-app testing every day. And if you can't be there, be at least present with your team. Join a Slack, use other technologies, screen sharing, so at least you can be there and support in the same time zone. And keep those people involved as well. So things to care about. You've got to care about your clients and your project managers that have magic fingers, or at least magic devices. These are the devices and the people that seem to find every single bug that nobody else can find. We have to care about them because they're our stakeholders. Also try and ignore them when you can. Crash monitoring is your friend. Every single stage of the process. This is including during testing and during the actual event. During testing can give you a sniff of what you might see during the event, but it also might give you an idea of what's happening overnight when you're not necessarily staring at your computer. And the more real time, the better. I haven't found Google Play's ANR crash system very good. I don't know what others have found, but I use Crashlytics and Fabric, which has recently been purchased by Google. That's a really good way of keeping good analytics on your crashes and getting a lot of information about them. Real-life data means real-life problems. As I was saying before, you never know what's going to happen at the actual event, but where you can, use data from last year. Use mocked-up data that covers every scenario as much as you can. You've got to do code reviews and testing at speed. You've got to have all these things ready to go. If an issue is fixed, you have to be ready to push it out to the store as soon as possible. So that might mean pair programming or getting code reviews immediately as soon as the issue is fixed, not waiting for the next cycle. Yep. And respect code freeze and source control. Always, there's somebody in my team who says, oh, I just want to do this little tiny tweak, and that little tiny tweak will break the entire app. And if that app is going out to 1 million people, it's catastrophic. Respect the code freeze. The things not to care about. The weird, weird world of Android. During the US Open, apparently a H3 Telebox was having problems with my app. No idea why. I don't even know what it does. I think it's some sort of modem. I don't know. Somehow this was reported. It's been using my app a lot. We had over 53 varieties of different Samsungs for the US Open this year. Different configurations, different reporting as different models. There were many, many crashes on different Samsungs. Secretly, I hate Samsungs. They crash all the time. Don't buy Samsung. So things not to care about are the one crash, one user defects. It might be a big crash. It might be something you can fix really quickly, but really we don't care. That poor user, I'm sorry, but we don't care. What we do care about are the 3,000 odd crash for 1,200 user issues. Those are the ones we care about, and those they might be the harder fix, or they usually are, but those are the ones you need to focus on, not the silly little one crash, one user, even if it's only a short fix. The question comes is when you've got a 3,000 crash for one user. That user's got a big problem, but it's probably their device. Out-of-memory exceptions, majority of the time, unless your app is dealing with graphics, music, video, then out-of-memory we don't care about. So many people's devices run so close to the wind, we don't care. And anything that's in an old version. If the issue is occurring in your current app version, -1, we don't care anymore. Only focus on the current one. You don't have the time to continually go back and recheck code. If you can reproduce it in the new version, that's great, but if not, don't care. That's the end of my talk.
Yep, and